So the brand new ATG officer is here, and as we know, it is more on a field-based ATG officer than it is a defense-based, which is kind of cool if you ask me, but of course it will still work in defense. So we're going to be testing two things here. First, we're going to be testing how good is this officer in defense, but also due to these sort of bomber related things, we're going to kind of see how good it is at taking out the bombers. Is it more effective or not? We're also going to be testing due to the bomber specific skills, whether or not it's going to be as good or better when taking out bombers. Although we've already done this in a previous video, let's quickly take a look. It's 2000 skill coefficient, and every thickness armor of 100 millimeters, it increases that by an extra 120. Then moving on, we have a normal attack booster 30, which is amazing. And we also have pen damage of 50. Moving on, this is the sort of bomber one here. We have got damage resist of 20%, which is nice. But then we have also got 20 extra percent if going against bombers. So that's kind of cool. And finally here we have low time reduction of 10% with the damage intensity buff of 15%. And the awakened skill here is whenever the artillery troop attacks, there is a 30% chance to deal skill damage to the enemy's target troop, damage coefficient of 800, and that can trigger every 4 seconds. So let's jump in. The way we're going to be testing this, guys, is we have got our super heavies here, and we're going to put the standard free-to-play version up here available for that. We're not going to bother with, you know, the higher tier ones. We're going to go straight through. We're going to use Dawn Anthem, and we are also going to use Iron Cavalier. Now, on these combinations, guys, we are going to be attacking our main base, and we're going to be starting here, guys, with the first option is going to be what the original is. We quickly remove that so you don't get confused. Previously, guys, this is pretty much known as one of the best free-to-play options on the game currently for the ATG in a sort of defensive mode. You know, it is going to be still Angel with Lady Shadow. So let's quickly attack the base here and just see how long this survives. I do assume due to obviously they both, you know, they're both maxed out units, completely maxed out that is, but the super heavy will survive a little bit just purely on the basis of there's no other artillery hitting it. It is just the ATG only, but as you can see, pretty decent work there. So imagine there was a load of other Howies in that base or something like that. It's going to be doing a lot more damage. Now that we obviously have done this test, we're going to do this exact test twice just so we can get a more accurate picture of the results, because as you know, when it comes to normal attack, sometimes it could just be you've missed all your normal attacks, sometimes you can absolutely smash them all. So we can try and get a bit of an average there. So we're going to do that attack one more time, and let's take a look at the results. So here are the results from the first two attacks. Now on the first one, the super heavy lasted around 14 seconds, and on the second time it lasted for around 16 seconds. Now obviously that does depend on the normal attack. So if we go through here and just quickly take a look over on the attacking side of things, you'll see on the first one we ended up doing basically the same amount of damage, by the way. So it was 144 mil damage here and 61.6 mil for the skill shot. Obviously this is the normal shot, and then this is the skill shot. If you go to the data here, it shows you unit damage and officer damage. And then if we go to this one here, it's almost identical. You've got obviously 145 mil, 161.6 mil. So with them being the same, obviously it just depends on the accuracy per shot. So maybe one of the shots obviously hit less, but then another shot hit more. But overall, the timer was almost identical, averaging around that sort of 15-second mark between the two of them. Obviously, you have to add 10 seconds because your base is in combat still for that extra 10 seconds. So with that being said, obviously, we're going to go through now and we are going to change the officers here. Now, I'm going to do a couple of different combinations. I do want to obviously test out one of the combinations here, which is the one I'm currently using because I don't have Shadow myself personally. Even though I know she is better than Eagle, at the time, I just didn't have any statues available to get Lady Shadow. So therefore, obviously, I've been using Eagle this whole time. But I'm potentially tempted to upgrade. So this is obviously going to be a good test for me to see the difference between those two. So we're going to just do the same attack again, kind of just see what the difference is. So here's the first attack, guys. We're going to be doing the exact same thing. We're going to do 2 attacks here with this one. We'll be able to kind of get a little test to see just how much better Shadow is. We know she's better, but just how much definitely does make a difference. As you can tell, Shadow is much stronger. That did feel like a good 4 or 5 seconds slower than Shadow, but of course at the same time we're going to obviously see the big difference with that new one. Does that make a difference? And I think with the pen damage mixed in with obviously that added bonus damage for the normal attack, I think it has potential. So let's quickly do the second attack and we'll be right back with you with the results. So here we are going through the results here, and the first one came in at 19 seconds, which is a considerable 4 to 5 second difference from the previous option. And then on the second attack, 22 seconds. So definitely a massive difference there. And quite honestly, I think it's going to show a real big change in the difference there. Now, we are going to do another one before we introduce the new officer. And we are going to be doing that attack here, guys, with the following defense. We are going to be using Maestro. A lot of people are still asking me, is Maestro still worth it? Is he still relevant? And personally, I don't think so. But I also believe that obviously Eagle is still okay on an ATG, but compared to Lady Shadow, for example, is obviously a lot worse. But with that being said, just how good is this officer? The last time we done testing with Maestro, he was a lot worse than Eagle. So I'm actually really not excited to see this, but I'm really intrigued to see what the difference is going to be with that. And I generally don't know. I mean, maybe paired with certain officers, he does perform better, but we'll see here in a second. As I mentioned, guys, in previous testings we've done with the ATG and with Maestro in general, he just didn't really perform that well. So, I mean, we'll be able to see here in a second just how big. And that skill shot coming in really did rip it off. So, I guess skill shot also does make a difference. You know, does the skill shot hit a crit? You know, there's so many different things that, you know, and penetration things and so many just values you need to think about on this game when it comes to, you know, when you're attacking. We're going to do the second attack and we'll come back through the results here in a second. So here we are, guys, in with the results from Maestro and Steel Angel. And actually, I'm really surprised. So the first one came in at 16 seconds and the second one came in at 17 seconds. Compared to Lady Shadow here was 14 and 16. So long story short, it does depend really on who Maestro is with. I know when we done the previous ATG testing where Maestro was included and all these others were included, Lady Shadow wasn't out at the time and nor was Steel Angel. So they weren't able to be included in that video because they literally didn't exist at the time. So obviously a lot has changed, and it does seem that when paired with certain people, the reason I think behind this at the end of the day, guys, we have a look at here, this skill where it reduces the enemy's damage resist, and I believe he also has this ability, and what's happening is it's stacking all of that up together, which is making the big difference, you know. Whereas before you didn't have obviously Steel Angel, and she didn't have that ability to really stack all of that up. So that's a really impressive thing to see, and honestly it has made obviously Maestro a little bit higher remarks in my book now, but of course still not better than Lady Shadow if you have her. Bearing in mind, guys, all of these things are done with no skill training. Obviously if you had skill training, it would massively improve it, but at the same time Super Heavy will also be a little bit more improved with its skill training. We're going down to the core officer themselves. Obviously whatever additional skill training you want to add on is personal to you. So with that being said, we're going to go on now to the brand new officer here, if we can find her. Bright purple hair, we shouldn't have an issue finding, which I'm still struggling. Here we go. And this is going to be the next test we're going to do, just to see how good this is. Now, again, just from reading the skills, guys, I think obviously the pen damage here for 50% is kind of cool. The normal attack for 30 is amazing. Load speed, damage intensity. The only thing that's not really going to help in the sort of defense section here is going to be this one. But having 2000 coefficient on that skill shot, as well as the 120 increase per 100 mil thickness. If we go over to the Super Heavies here, guys, we're going to be able to see just how much thickness they have. So if we go over here, they have 527 millimeter thickness, and because they have 527 mil thickness, that means that the actual skill shot here coming from the new terrain tactician means this is going to be increased by an extra 600, meaning she's going to be doing a skill damage of 2600 coefficient. That is pretty neat. And on top of that, every 4 seconds she has a 30% chance of doing an extra 800 on top of all of this. So again, I still think even in a defense, she has potential to do very, very well. So without yapping, let's quickly jump straight in and do that next attack and just see how good this new setup is going to be. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I think that due to the pen damage with that normal shot and then the high skill coefficient chance, I feel like it has the potential. But I mean, it's looking like it is as good as Lady Shadow, potentially a little bit less. That looked like, to me, it hit 16 seconds. I think I saw that second shield come up, meaning, you know, potentially again, we might have missed a lot of crit there, a lot of pen. We don't know if it hit. because the chances of that is just so random. And that's the problem with, you know, not necessarily the problem with it, but it's what makes testing these sort of things hard when it comes to tanks, when it comes to anything involving normal shots, because it is sporadic and random at the same time. It's just complete RNG. So what we're going to do is obviously we're going to wait to get that battle report come in. Looks like we have got it. Now we are going to go through and do another attack here. So obviously the reason I take the ATG out of the base is so that it's not pre-charged onto the unit when it comes in, meaning I can do the attacks a bit quicker. I don't have to wait 3 minutes for it to be uncharged. I can quite simply just go in for the next attack as soon as we've got the battle report. So here it is. We're going to do round 2 and we'll be back with you. In fact, because this is the new officer, let's keep the results here on the screen at all times. Just because, you know, it's what we're going to want to see with this new officer. Now, that normal shot does look pretty decent. It's the skill shot for me that I'm surprised doesn't do it quite as much, but that was a lot quicker that time. So I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw. You know, one attack's a little bit quicker, one's slower, depending on that RNG. And then now let's quickly wait for that result to come in. Okay, so here we are, guys. We're going to put the first report in here at 16 seconds and the second report at 13 seconds, meaning we officially have a faster attack here. Honestly, I'm really surprised. You know, I'm actually really surprised. 30 seconds survive time. I mean, I don't know if I want to say surprised, because if you look at Lady Shadow, like, she has 1800 coefficient with the extra AoE, but that AoE is not going to really matter for this sort of testing. And then if you have a look here, she has only 20% because she's inside her base. Then she has the normal attack 30 officer boost of 20, which again is pretty decent, but her skill damage isn't quite as big as the other one. Firepower, which is nothing special. And then, yeah, I guess if you really break it down, the new officer does have just slightly better damaging skills. The one thing I'm really excited to look forward to is, let's see if there's a big difference now if we was to put Lady Shadow with this officer. Now, of course, as we know, the defense here from the Steel Angel is honestly quite unmatched. If we actually have a look at what Steel Angel offers, because again, just trying to cover all the bases, she does do 2200 coefficient, and if it is garrisoned, the damage coefficient is increased by 50%, which is insane. And the boosted skill damage will be shared with one enemy troop within 2 map grid. If no enemy troop are present at that range, the damage will not be shared. So does that mean if there is no... I'm still kind of trying to understand this. If there's no unit nearby, do they not get the extra 50%? Because there's a comma, not a full stop. It does just have a comma and the boosted skill. So I feel like that, basically, long story short, if there's no enemy nearby, you only get 2200. Maybe I'm misunderstanding that, but maybe let me know down in the comments. Moving on, obviously, we've got 30% firepower, nothing special, but here is crazy. We have 35% damage intensity. We reduce the enemy's damage resist by 35%. So that's just like a double stack. And then here is very similar to the new officer, where if the enemy troop has a shield, though, the damage coefficient ignores that shield and deals 600 coefficient. So it's just extra added, obviously, damage there. So I think having her removed is going to be a big difference. I feel like it's going to be a more medium result, very similar to before. So here we are, guys. We've got the new setup here. We're going to be using Lady Shadow with the new Tactician, and we're going to see if that makes a big difference. I feel like Steel Angel really helps on an ATG when it comes to this sort of defense. And yeah, I mean, it's nothing special. It definitely hit that sort of 16 mark right there, but we will, of course, be doing one more attack. So let's get ready to do that, and we'll be back with the results. Okay, guys, so the reports are in, and let's take a look here at this report. Again, 17 seconds, 16 seconds, pretty average, but definitely nowhere near the best. So again, I'm actually pretty happy and confident with what we've done here. Again, I'm going to do one more here just for, like, I don't want to call it luck, but just so we could really get a gauge to see if that first one that came in was, you know, a little bit slower. The second one that came in was a little bit faster. But what if, like, you know, what if both of them were just the polar opposites? Is there a sort of middle ground? Let's quickly do some more testing just with the new officer setup, because I kind of just want to see if it really, you know, is much better, or even if it's more on the lower side and we got lucky with one of those shots. Because one big difference can really change a lot. Now, I'm not too sure. I'd have to double check the footage there. I might have been pre-charged. I might have forgot to bring out my unit and put it back in, but I don't think I did. I think we took it out. So again, we are going to go through, do another attack once we get that battle report come through, just to get sure. I want to make sure that what we're getting is some really hardcore evidence for this unit here. So we'll be right back for you after we do a couple more attacks. So here it is, guys. We're going to be doing one more attack here for you on footage, and quite honestly, I'm really surprised with the results we're getting here. Absolutely outstanding. Again, as I said, we're going to do one more attack here for you guys on the screen, just to show you guys that the ATG is not active in the base, although the base is technically on fire. We have got the battle report come through, and we are now going to quickly do another attack just to show you guys how good this new combination is. It is really strong. 100% I'm getting this officer. So as you can see, genuinely speaking, it's kind of just doing normal attack damage and that pen. I think it's the pen that comes through that really outstands, because this one here on the screen is by far the worst one we've had on the attack. So I'm really impressed, though. Really impressed with this officer. If we go through now, we will show, obviously, I done this one here, which I believe, yep. So this is the one that came through, and we'll actually get the results up over here. It's easier to follow along. This is where it lasted 13 seconds, okay? And that was the fastest one we had. We then changed over to the other officers, which during this part, obviously, is where we had the Lady Shadow with her, just to see if there was any difference. And again, it came back at 17 and 16, which is okay, but nothing crazy. We then decided to do a few more attacks. I done 1, 2, 3, 4 more attacks. The first one came in at 15 seconds, pretty normal. The second one came in at 12 seconds. The next one came in at 11 seconds. And finally, 17 seconds. So this 17 second is like one of the slowest ones that we've had for this officer. And of course, it means that, you know, sometimes the accuracy isn't perfect, the penetration doesn't happen and stuff like that. And 17 seconds still is kind of on par to being that average amount. But the fact you can get up to 11, 12, 13 seconds, and before, the previous best we had was Lady Shadow with Steel Angel, and that was averaging around a sort of 15 to 16 second mark. Definitely an improvement, especially if you don't have Lady Shadow, for example. So guys, stay tuned for the next video. In the next video, guys, we are going to be testing the ATG in the anti-air mode against planes. How much different is it going to be? Obviously, I was going to do it all in one video, but at the same time, unfortunately, this video is already pretty long, and I'm going to be going through and testing the same sort of thing what I've done here, the different combinations against air, and see if there's a big difference there. And also, if the unit gets bombed, how much is there a difference on the damage it takes with the new officer, because it has damage resist for it. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you hit the like button, turn the notifications on if you do want to catch that video. And as always, I appreciate each and every single one of you. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.